This is my damn show.
So we have. I'm looking at it right now. That's got to be like a 4, but he's got different heights of pads, and you can go on Rogue and look at them. But anyway, you were saying
the one that they have is super tall, super wide, and it's just a standalone because they have like rig set up, so that way they have like 6 spots that you can squat, bench, and all that sort of stuff. And I laid down to bench on the first night, and I'm like, my feet are like this, and I'm like, oh, I'm a flat foot guy. And I'm trying to like wiggle my feet out so I'm flat, and I just couldn't get it. But everything moved really nicely. I looked at the board. I am the 3rd best bench presser at this gym. I remember
you saying that in the chat. That's fucking hilarious.
I know.
That's good stuff.
It is good. I was really worried that I was going to because when you're at CTX and you're a normal human being like myself, when you're actually average on TikTok, you when compared to guys like you, Chad, Tony, like all of these people, like you guys are. And so when a normal person comes in and we put up these numbers, it's like, okay, yeah, 375 on bench is great, but it's not 700. It's not, you kind of psych yourself out and being like, oh, I'm not that good. But then I show up to a regular gym because they don't have, it's more of a strongman gym. I don't think they've ever held a competition or anything like that, but they've got a bunch of different bars. They've got a board that has everyone's bench, squat, and dead on it. And I was looking up and down it, and it's like, oh, shit. Like, only 2 people in this gym bench over 4. And I'm like, oh, that's super attainable. That's what I'm going to be number 1 bench presser at this gym. Boom. I'm doing
And what are the 2 ladies' names?
You son of a bitch.
I had to, dude.
I set you up for it too perfectly too. I was like getting really. That was well done, motherfucker. But yeah, so like those goals feel attainable now to be the biggest numbers on the board because I'm not going against motherfuckers who are oh man, here comes CJ squatting 1,000 fucking pounds raw. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm going up against other people who are like me that like lifting. So it's interesting.
So there's two things that I wanna feed off of that. Listening to you, like it's always awesome, and I don't know if I'd have to go back like when I used to like lift in like the big box gyms. Mm-hmm. I would still always gravitate towards those guys and girls because there were some girls like especially in the Olympics, like the Olympic lifting that were fucking stronger than me, which goes to show you technique. Like I outweighed these girls by like fucking 170 pounds, but their technique was flawless. You know what I'm saying? So they're actually stronger than me in certain lifts. But anyway, long story short, I would gravitate toward those people that were stronger than me. So there is some pleasure in being the strongest in the place, but I just want to warn you early, like knowing how you are, like careful, because I don't want you to get stagnant. I don't want you to like not love lifting because you're like how do I push myself? Being in this fucking gym, like chasing CJ, chasing Buddy, chasing Tony, fucking staying away from Chad, things like that. Like Jody on my heels, fucking goddamn Tara. Sometimes, depending on the lift, getting close to certain things, like putting a certain poundage between you guys. Like that's what kept it fun. And I remember back at LA Fitness, like out of the group, I was the strongest, and I would just come in on like I don't have nothing to strive for. Like I would even lose interest in like, okay, well you did 405 for 3, try 405 for 4, try 405 for 5. Like that just didn't interest me, other than like type of thing. So it does feel good, but it went away very quickly for me, just because of how I am, like the chase. You know what I'm saying? I like being chased. Like you coming up on my heels, like, hey, motherfucker, I'm coming to get you. And I also like to chase and be like, hey, dude, I'm coming for you. So just two sides of that there.
And I think that it helps that CTX came first, because I'm always chasing CTX numbers. I know that I can be the number one guy at whatever gym I go to, but I still am half as strong as some of the people at CTX. And I'm not stopping being friends with people at CTX.
No.
Because,
so you'll still have people to chase here.
Absolutely.
Always. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I say that some people would have heard that and be like, oh, why is he being negative? Like, you'll still, because these motherfuckers are hungry, dude. You know what I'm saying? So that you'll still always have people to chase because they want to get away from you.
Right.
You know, like, quick story. I remember Sarah, like, we blew Sarah's squat up. I think I was just squatting 6, and I had her closing in on 5, if not over. And I was like, yo, get the fuck away from me. And it hurried me up to like plow my squat even further. And this is back when I was raw. Yeah. But I remember being hungry to get further away from her because she was closing in. And I was like, get the fuck away from me. And it fueled me. And for a while there, like, as long as CJ's been with me, I think we talked about this. It's like 6 years that I've known him. At one point, I out squatted him raw. Like, I think I hit 650. I hit 650 before he ever did. I think I hit 750 before he ever did. And then that motherfucker it just took over. I'm just like, okay, it's inevitable. You're going to be stronger than me. Like, you know what I mean? And some people are like, oh, how does that feel? Like, it felt great. It felt great. Like, I had coached him to go be stronger than me. It didn't hurt me at all. It did not bother me. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So, we always have that, in this gym, and records being eclipsed, and I take it back, you take it back, and we just sit here and go back and forth with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's always that. That's always fun.
Yeah. The one thing about this gym, I said this earlier, I have never understood the difference between a squat bar, a deadlift bar, a bench press bar. I've never understood the difference, because in my mind, a bar is a bar. You can put weights on it. It's got knurling. As long as it's got the rings on it where I can put my hands for bench press, count it as a bench press bar. As long as it's got a knurling on the back so that way it doesn't fall off my back when I squat, it's a squat bar. Like, that's how I think of it. For the longest time, that's all I really cared about. And I got so much shit for, there was one night I grabbed one of the squat bars for bench press because we wanted a 55-pound bar for bench press. And Dale gave me so much shit because he's like, "Oh, we're just over here with a squat bar, using the bulldog or whatever to, this is bullshit, Austin." So I've never understood the difference. I think I understand the difference now because I went to deadlift. Would have been 2 days ago. And at the deadlift platform was this bar that was really long and really thick. And it didn't have super tough knurling, which I associate with a deadlift bar. Maybe it was a little older.
Literally. Could be.
Yeah. But I gripped it, and I'm a hook grip guy, and I could barely hook like that because it was so thick. And I looked, and I was like, I think this is a squat bar, because it's super long, super thick, and it was a Texas power, not power bar, but a Texas bar.
Probably a Texas squat bar.
That would be my assumption. And so then in my mind, I'm like, okay, does everyone just think this is a bar? Should I move it? Should I put it in a squat rack so people know this is a squat bar? Like, I don't know what to do with this newfound epiphany of what a bar is, So I guess this is a perfect opportunity to educate someone like myself who has been around different types of bars and explain what the equipment is, why it's different, what's the point in having a squat bar versus a deadlift bar. Like, because you have tons of different bars at the gym.
Yeah, we do. So right off the bat, when you first mentioned the knurling generally will cue you that it is a squat bar. To sit on the center of your upper or lower traps, wherever you're high bar, low bar, whatever. It sits on your back.
Sure. Yeah.
There. Generally, you are correct. However, there have become bench bars, Texas being one of them, that have made bench bars that do have center knurling that, as far as I know, can double over as a squat bar as well. Okay?
Okay.
Generally, a bench bar does not have center knurling. Okay.
Okay.
You can kind of go by that. There are 45-pound bench bars. There's 55-pound bench bars. We have one, the Bulldog. When you start getting to deadlift bars, they're generally a thinner grip. And if you have a sumo deadlift bar, there will be no wide knurling. There will be, it's like a smooth area, so it doesn't cut up your shins.
Oh,
the next deadlift bar, you'll have some knurling and no center knurling, and which generally for the conventional stance, and the knurling just fucks your shins up if you are a sumo lifter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you and I were kind of talking, if we go the USAPL route and you just do like a stiff bar, like a Rogue Power Bar, a Texas Power Bar, it is a 45-pound bar that has rings, that has knurling. It has different areas that are smooth and some that have like the center knurling for the squat.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that federation, you will squat, bench, and deadlift with that bar. And so
all
it just
on
depends
one.
on
On one. Yeah.
all on one bar. Some gyms may dedicate one barbell to just the deadlift. So, when people slam it and drop it, because everybody's different. Everybody's got to hear that you've got 3 wheels on the bar as you fucking try to dig dirt and get a hole for the mafia.
Absolutely.
Other people, they'll tap and go and they make light use of it. The way they treat a bench and a squat and stuff like that. They're very delicate with the bar. Like, I applaud those people.
Mm-hmm.
But so when you get to that federation, they are a single bar user. Hearing what you said, we'd have to go back. Was there center knurling? Being a thicker bar, kind of like what our bench bar was. You've used both our Bulldog and you use a Texas.
Yeah.
So we have to see what's the knurling like in the center. I don't know why it would be on the deadlift platform. With being a thicker bar, center knurling, I would dedicate that to being a bench or a squat bar.
Right.
Now you start talking bar length and stuff like that. Typically, those longer bars are to hold a lot more plates. You start taking a look at the end caps and stuff like that. Somebody who benches, like 1,300, like Tony. We have a couple 11, and depending on the day, reverse band, couple 11 and 1,200 pound squatters like Buddy and Dylan. So those end caps can hold way more plates and stuff like that. So that's the reason for those length of bars and stuff. Like, I'm looking at our Bulldog bar now, and it's the tallest bar of everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just, and then now a true deadlift, like we get a deadlift, we get a Texas or we get an Oki, the flex in the bar. All right. Now in the USAPL, the flex and the whip, like it's cheating. You come down to like APF and the RPS and UPA and IPA and all these other federations, and the whip, like when you get enough weight on that bar, the flex of it will start the pull a little higher than where the bar sits straight across plate to plate, if that makes any sense.
It's like the elephant bar in strongman.
There you go. And when that motherfucker flexes, it might flex an inch, it might flex 2, it depends, on the bar and the person and the weight. But now I've started that weight or that lift a little higher than from standard height. Right. And some people will call it cheating. It is what it is.
Sure.
Boo-hoo. I'm using the legal bar for the federation. Like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? However, with that being said, people who say it's cheating, you may not be used to the whip. So you come in here and you're used to your power bar, you're used to your straight bar, and you come into a whippy, flexy barbell, and the whip will catch you. You go to pull, and the whip starts just fucking taking you, and the band, or not the bend, but the bend of the bar takes you. So somebody who's very aggressive and not used to that reflex or that bend of the bar, that'll actually pull you back forward. So you may miss the lift, it may pitch you. Sure. It can fuck you up. So
having to take the slack out of the bar is really difficult.
Yep. So you hear me cue that, whether you're on a power bar or you're on a deadlift bar, slack out of the bar, slack out of the body. Tight bar, tight body. You've heard me say that plenty of times to you guys.
Absolutely.
And that's literally to get used. And those are my dynamic lifters and my static lifters. And what I mean by that is I've got guys they'll kick their hips up and slap into the bar and go. That's a very dynamic start. I've got rollers. And then I have people who tension. You'll see them just crank in. They tension the bar, they tension their body, and boom, they just fly right off.
Right.
So, you learn the lift, you learn the bar. What federation are you doing? What squat bar, what bench bar, what deadlift bar, so you can start getting bar specific so you're not fucked up on day of.
Yeah.
I got you. So anyway, yeah.
That makes sense.
But listening to what you said, I don't know why this thick, long bar is on the floor to deadlift with. unless, like you said, it's a bench bar or a squat bar, and these people just, I don't know. They don't know.
Someone just put it there like it was in the rack.
Could have been.
You know, because I've done that where it's like, okay, this is a bar and I'm going to use it to deadlift, and oh man, this isn't supposed to be a deadlift bar, you know. So
you also said this is a CrossFit place too, right?
It is, yeah. So actually, I wanted to talk about that because they have a lot of bars that aren't poundage, they're kilos. They're 20 kilos, which I think is 45 pounds, 44 pounds. So they have that, and a lot of the bars don't have that center knurling. Is that more of an Olympic style bar? Is that, that's what it is?
That's an Ollie bar. That's for snatches and cleans.
Gotcha.
So now when you get to those lifts, you have a certain diameter of the barbell. You have a women's barbell that is 33 pounds or 15 kilos, 20 kilo, 44 pound for the male. And different bar types, like, you know, you will have whip on those bars. You see some of these guys when they go to catch and clean, these women, like, you see once they front rack and get up, like that bar is just shaking. So they take their time to stop that whip. But that's a very thin bar. I want to say a 28 millimeter.
It looked very, very thin. When I picked it up.
Very similar to a deadlift bar. Okay. And the funny thing about that, you know, that bar they will use in CrossFit gyms, and I'm not saying this is correct or incorrect, they will use that same Ollie bar to squat with, to jerk with, and to deadlift with.
Right.
Okay. Now some will probably use that barbell for their main lifts, depending on how they're trained in the classical Olympic lifts with the snatch and the clean. They will do their snatch and clean work. Then they'll go maybe to a squat bar. So they have that knurling. I've coached all you guys in CrossFit, and we had only the Ollie bars because I didn't let you guys use my squat bars. And there's no knurling, so it's very smooth. You know, and depending on what material you wear, like you got, you know, your tank top, it may slide. I wear one of those fitted shirts, it may slide. I wear a shirt like what I got on, and it's going to stick. And the reason being is because the traditional lifts are the snatch and then the clean. And I don't necessarily, when I go to snatch, just one movement from ground to overhead. And when I clean, I don't necessarily need that center knurling on my chest. I need knurling on my shoulders when I front rack it. Okay? If you taught correctly, you don't catch it with your chest or your clavicles. You're taught to catch it with your shoulders. And that's your front rack position. So that's sometimes why you have smooth Olympic barbells, you know what I'm saying? And just like I said, depending on who's coaching you, it's just like, hey, run all 3/5 lifts off of, you know, one barbell.
Yeah. So there was some drama. I don't know if drama is the right word, but I saw on Instagram about the USAPL guys over at Tommy's gym. What was that all about?
Just from what I gathered, it was just a lot of disrespect to the gym. You know, those guys. Oh man, I don't know, dude.
Yeah,
I
thought it had something to do with weights that they were using.
It was like they didn't want to put certain weights back. They didn't want to. They wanted certain barbells, but what they were doing with them, Tommy and Gary have deemed as certain bars for certain lifts only, and not for these. So it was like trying to fight them and tell them, hey man, like this is the house rules,
right?
You know, type of stuff. And those people are used to stiff bars, you know, and center knurling, and this is the only bar we train with, and we can only use kilo plates, and not everybody is like that, but you know, it was just disrespect to her stuff, you know, and that was the biggest thing. They're just, you know, they when we start talking about bar specific, you know, let's remove Tommy and Gary and Perfect Storm from the equation. Let's just talk about them specifically.
Sure.
Or the lifters, not the gym. Let's talk about the lifters specifically. They are used to squat racks that, you know, are mobile. They're not used to monolifts. They're not used to CrossFit rigs. And so when we start talking bar specific and lift specific, and it's game time, lift how you're going to compete. And I wouldn't change that line of reasoning or thinking up for anybody. Multiply lifter, single ply, USPA, USAPL, whatever. Yeah, I've had USAPL lifters walk through our doors, and they're very respectful. And then you have others that are just like, "Oh, I'm USAPL, f*** off." Yeah. Same in multiply. You and I know this. Yeah. I've had multiply lifters that are like, "Hey, I'm multiply. Nice to meet you." And I've had others like, "Oh, you don't know me? F*** off." And I'm like, you know, like, no, I don't know you. I don't want to know you.
Right.
So that was really what that was about. And it was like, oh, you know, we got a deadlift. We're going to deal with this. No, you're not. Like, you know, like, oh, we're going to do this. And No, you're not. So that's
Right.
really what it was.
I got you.
You know, if you know her like you do,
Absolutely.
she don't give a shit. Respect
Yeah.
my place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's really what that was about.
I gotcha. It was just interesting seeing it all unwind, especially knowing that there is a bit of tension between RPS, APF, and the USAPL people. You know, there tends to be a little bit of,
There is, and I strongly believe that. And I'm just going to use us because we're here. I'm not saying that we're the only one.
Right.
I've had groups, big groups of USAPL lifters that respected us, that used the stiff bars. They used our standard plates. You know, they came and they trained. They did their ass to grass squats. The only time that I would ever have an issue with them is when they wanted to do spotless squats, and my bars would, drop to the pins and, things like that. Like, come on, like, nobody's too good for a spot. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Right.
need to do that bullshit. But like, other than that, they were very respectful of our place, of our crew, of our styles. We all got along. You know, we had raw, we had knee sleeves, we had knee wraps, we had single plate, we had everybody, man.
Yeah.
And so I think there just needs to be more of us and them who doesn't dislike them and they don't dislike us. But good luck.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
It's tough. But speaking of meets that are going on, you've got a meet that is full, baby.
Yeah. Well, we filled out, I think, what's today? Monday. I think we filled out like Saturday.
That's awesome. Hey, we're going to get into that. Hang on. Don't you be giving away the free stuff.
Mr. Segway over here still.
All right. Absolutely. Forever and for always, Mr. Segway. We are going to be back. This is the Stache and Beard Show. We'll be back after this.
Later, motherfuckers.